Hi everyone, welcome to one more occurrence of the benchmarking tool contributors meeting. Today is February 13, 2025. The meeting is being recorded. Okay, let's get started. Please add yourselves to attendees if you haven't yet done so. I see a couple of topics, so we can get started with those. Basic load gen implementation. Sachin, do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, sure. So basically, we want to unblock more people from contributing. The idea is to create some sort of high-level structure and a very simple, basic example that's like a working example. So I took uh, um forward the work that Samuel created last time about with the load timer and implemented a very simple but end-to-end example, all mocked up interfaces, but that will give us some start, and different people can work on different parts of the thing and scope it out in more detail. I can go through the PR maybe if you want me to share my screen.
Yeah, maybe I can briefly go over that. Um, Let me stop sharing.
I think it's disabled for me, the sharing.
Okay, can you try again?
Yeah, works now.
Okay.
Cool. I hope that you guys can see my screen.
Yeah.
That's the VS Code, right? So yeah, I have the main file. So I have a couple of interfaces, um, very similar to our image from the design that we started. So the key idea is here is, okay, you set up a model server client. This could be a TGI, VLLM, or any model server client. You set up some parameters where that's located. How do you connect with that sort of thing. Then you define a load generator. This is where you define what data would be used, um, the type of load, uh, any other parameters to define that particular load, and like rate and duration, how long and how much many requests you'd be making. Then you have the reporting aspect where you would connect, define a particular report generator. This could also be like different classes. We could create various kinds of reports that could be extendable that way. Finally, you would run the perf test for that particular client, and then you can also optionally generate a particular report. This would be like a file format or however we think we want to see the report. So this is like the very high level approach to the inference perf, and then I can go into some interfaces on how each of these are defined. So any questions, concerns, comments here?
Yeah, overall, um, as an interface, it looks good to me. Anyone else has any thoughts?
Also, we can update this as we go, right? This is like a starting place where, okay, we have some structure, we can divide up work between us, work on different parts of it, and then we can definitely contribute back and change, upgrade it however we see fit. So now talking about the key. Okay, so the client I already explained. This could be any model server client that we choose. The mock data generator could also be how we define the get the data itself for this load gen. So the common examples that I've seen is, one is synthetic data, some kind of emulated data. Then we define the parameters for that data. Okay, this particular set token size, or define the distribution of the token size, that sort of thing. Or we could get it from a particular data set from a data repository like Hugging Face or somewhere. We could just use the data as is. Or we could be custom data from some kind of file storage. So again, this data generator could be extended to different forms. The report generator is like very basic, right? At the moment, what it does is it just prints the number of requests. I'll just run it and show you guys how that would behave, basically. So if I run the Python command for that, at the moment, the rate is 2. It's a constant load, and there's a duration of 5. So for up to 5 seconds, it's gonna make these many requests. And at the end of the request, it's gonna create a report which is basically computing, summing up all the different requests. Very simple mock idea to show how this could behave. So this is where the load gen run happens, and this is the generating report aspect. This generator also collects all the metrics as part of this load gen run. The load gen run itself is through a timer. This is the idea from Samuel. The generator format of this was very interesting to me. I found that very clever way to do it. So you have a base class, and then you have some external classes like a constant load timer and a poison load timer. So this would generate different time units when you would make these requests. And the generator itself would get the data and schedule each of those data points for that particular time. And once you have set that up, it would process the request using that particular client that we have chosen. And finally, the client itself is like a base class with some kind of process request. This process request at the moment only just prints the data, but this could make an HTTP call, gRPC call, or we could extend it to different clients and formats we think we want to start. So yeah, that's about it with the PR. So we lay down initial structure, and then we can divide up work however we see fit.
Yeah, overall, that makes sense. And thanks for sending it out. I think for the client, I remember Brendan had a change as well. So it would be good to agree on some interface first and then iterate on it. I think that should be good. I see one comment in the chat about can we have a client.generate report instead of report gen? Yeah, I think we can. Yeah, probably I think Shu to be good on the as a review comment, and we can discuss that. Initially, we split it out this way to keep all the things we want to put in the report somewhat separate from the actual model server client itself. But yeah, we can discuss more then.
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah, we can change it to whatever simple interfaces would make sense.
Cool. Thanks for sharing, Sachin. Let me take over. We have a couple more topics. I think the next one, I believe it's one song on benchmarking for inference gateway extension.
Oh yeah, thanks. Hey, my name is Song. I work on the inference gateway extension. Some of you may already heard it. And recently I started to do a lot of benchmarks. That's why I started following this. So I just want to so from our perspective, so right now we are using the LPG tool, but I'm aware of this new tool that you guys are developing. This is super cool. So I think from our perspective, I was wondering what is the best way to get to understand the current status and any roadmap on this tool, the new tool, and also we discover some gaps in the current LPG tool. We obviously want some improvements in the tool. So what is the best way to discuss those, and hopefully we can get those covered in the new tool. And last but not least, I do have another tool, like automation tool, on top of the benchmark tool to automate the benchmark cases of our particular use case. Yeah, I'm happy to make a demo, or I just want to understand if that's something in the scope of this work group.
Yeah, I can probably take a stab at answering some of those. So this one is mainly a benchmarking as a code library or tool, similar to like the GK latency profile generator, FMPerf, GenAPerf, and some of the other tools out there. The goal is to kind of consolidate and then add other things that you would need. One, to make it easier to run on Kubernetes, and to benchmark different scenarios, right? So benchmarking inference gateway from like a proper Kubernetes OSS tool, I think this would be the right place to add more of that stuff, right? But it is still in early stages, so until we get to a point where we can use this end to end and extend it for more cases, it will take some time. But at least I see this as for example, any benchmarking we want to do on the open source side for inference gateway, the extension itself. It is much easier if we use this tool, because both are in the Kubernetes ecosystem, and we could even create like GitHub actions and stuff like that, which could run this benchmark on the OSS side, right? So yeah, at least that's the goal for the longer term. For now, I would say we can keep tabs on what is going on in the weekly meetings and where we are at. That would be good. But once we have the basic tooling in place, yeah, I'd recommend you to like look at adding other cases around that, right? For orchestration outside of the actual benchmarking library itself, those sort of orchestrations and extensions are things you want to support, but also want to um, not put everything in the main library itself, but see how we can have different extensions that can be plugged in or used based on people's use cases, right? So we need to figure out how that interface and the design will look, but we should be able to add those here.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah, so 100% agree. So we do want to use whatever the community is like moving towards. So we'd like to keep a close eye on this project. And as you said, once it's available, it's good enough. So we would love to consolidate instead of running our own kind of benchmark tooling. Quick questions. What is the best way to, is it like on GitHub issues? If I have some feature requests and stuff like that, we can discuss.
Yeah, I would say create GitHub issues for any new features and things you would like to add. I think we have a few feature requests in the GitHub issues already. Some of them are being worked on already, like the model server client or the load generator itself. Yeah, I would say add there, then other folks can chime in there too. Once we have some consensus, then we can send out a PR to add those.
Cool. And I'll be very happy to share some of the learnings we had. So we already have a tool to, like, on top of the benchmark tool with all the orchestration. So I love to share some of the learnings we learned from there. And hopefully if this becomes the scope of this, I can share feedback, and hopefully there's a new tool that covers what we are doing, so we don't have to maintain our own orchestration.
Yeah, I think that would be good to do as well. Probably we can allocate some time for in the next sync.
Okay, that sounds good. I can
to,
do yeah.
Yeah, if we can do like a 15-minute
Yeah.
presentation of what you have.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah, hi, Ashok. This is Yue. Just regarding to what Chong just mentioned about the automation framework, I think you heard from Chen that we had the FM perf. That's also the automation framework. Probably like we can show it somehow to see how if there any possibility we can merge it to a new work, or it's like any new features we can also take from each other.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Yeah, I would say it would be good to create a GitHub issue first on what kind of orchestration people would like to have, right? And then we can discuss there. I think since FMPerf already has something, we can probably leverage that here too, right? And it would be great if people who contributed it there could actually contribute to this tool as well. Yeah, I think the main thing to figure out there is like how it fits in with the benchmarking library and where we would add it. I think that probably brings us to Chen's next question around
exactly.
orchestration.
Yeah, exactly. I think I'm trying to see both the code and then thanks Sachin. I think the current structure actually can easily replace different types of load generator and testing for an existing server benchmarking very nicely. But if we want to merge the orchestrations and deployment of servers and jobs on Kubernetes altogether, so how can we organize the code to merge that part?
Yeah, I think here the main thing we need to decide is so one of the goals that we called out is the benchmarking library itself should be usable on its own, where someone can just import it and use it for the load gen dataset and the report part. Orchestration is one level above. So we need to decide if it has to be be a Python library where we add a separate orchestration component and use Python to actually create things on a Kubernetes cluster. The other option is to take it outside of the core benchmarking library in Python and have it as like a separate Kubernetes deployment thing, right? It could be using Kustomize, Helm, or some way to deploy the YAMLs and run it. I think either approaches work. I'd probably prefer it to have take like the Kubernetes Kustomize or deploying the YAMLs outside of the Python library itself. But if we have a specific use case to making it be driven by the Python library, I think that's something we can discuss too.
Yeah, the existing FMPerf actually write it as a Python library. And actually, as long as you have connections to your Kubernetes cluster with kubeconfig locally configured, and it should easily schedule the server deployment and client load tester deployment to the Kubernetes. So that's why I think the structure, if you look at the FMPerf structure, it's similar to what you have. And it's just to put the cluster model specs and workload specs as a Python library here. Let me copy the link of the structure here.
Yep.
It will be easier for us to just merge the Python library one. But we can make it part of your existing library or make it a separate Python library. So either would be simple for us.
Okay. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
So I was going to add something to that, right? So for the orchestration, we're talking about orchestrating the models, right? Not orchestrating the tool itself. Is that right?
That's right. That's right. orchestrating the deployment of the model and the job, and the load testing job.
Right.
So I kind of think it's the same functionality as the load testing libraries you have structured. It's just in addition to that, we also orchestrate the server deployment.
Yeah. Yeah, we can
Yeah.
explore how that can. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can see the how we deploy one, the model itself with VLLM or TGI, and the workload too. Yeah, I would say, Chen, if we can create an issue with pointer to how FMPerf is doing it today and where we can merge it. Yeah, I think we can. Other people can chime in too, and we can figure out where it fits in and get it merged.
Okay, I will go ahead and create an issue.
On the second part about connecting to the Kubernetes cluster from your local kubeconfig and making requests, I mean that's good for like a testing if everything is configured right. Thing how models are working, but for an actual benchmarking, you would want the request processor to be as close as to the model, reducing the network. So what I'm trying to say is your actual Kubernetes cluster could be miles away from you, right? And you wouldn't want that network latency to affect your benchmark. So while that's a good experiment, when you want to actually create a report for benchmarking, it would be the second part, which is orchestrating the tool itself as a job. That would be very important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, FMPerf is good at it, right? Because it's assuming it's running both the benchmarking job and also the server on the same Kubernetes cluster you have access to. And if you just run the load testing library locally to server endpoint, right? There is no guarantee that they are co-located.
Chen, I
Yeah.
have a question here. So do we want to put them a bit into a bit two separate paths so people have the choice, can go either way?
I think we should.
Agreed.
Because sometimes we are not only benchmarking deployable server, we're also benchmarking some external API, right?
Yes. It's a good point.
Yeah, I agree with this too, because people can have different reasons to do it differently, right? Just using the client benchmarking tool, just in Python to run it, or running it inside a Kubernetes cluster to co-locate. Yeah, having the flexibility to use the tool with or without it would be good. Makes sense. Any other thoughts on that? Cool. Yeah, so if not, I think we can create a GitHub issue to follow up. And in the issue, yeah, Chen, feel free to suggest where do you see is the right place to put it. And then we can finalize it and yeah, get it merged after reviews.
Definitely. When will such as PR be merged? Probably before next week or?
So I think it depends on what feedback we get from the folks here, right? I think as long as someone is actively driving it, it should be easier to get it merged soon. Also, we need to see the dependency with the actual load gen or other libraries we have, which is still being in a mock load gen stage now, right?
Let's see.
Yeah. So yeah, if someone is taking it up and working through it, I think we should be able to get it merged fairly soon, like a week to a couple of weeks.
Okay, I will first create an issue and then let's have some discussions there in terms of the code structure, and then we can see how we start from there.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks. Okay, and for any other PRs, feel free to review. I think the one that Sachin has could use some reviews, and then we can get it merged.
Yeah, I think if you guys can take a look at that PR, add some comments, we can expedite getting that into the project, and that will help more contributions from there. So,
Agree, especially if we are a little bit more agile while starting out to get the interfaces and things in place. We can always refactor it a little bit as we keep adding more code.
Yep.
Very good. Cool. Yeah, we're over time. Thanks for participating, everyone. We'll see you all next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.